Hi everyone, thank you very much once again for joining me in this tutorial series. Today we are going to look at Techno Feasibility study. Before we deploy a network, what are the things that we need to consider and how are these things attached to the durability, scalability and sustainability of the network? So based on that concept, I'll take you through a Techno Feasibility study guide. And I will also point you to different toolkits that I've been able to come up with. And I think they are going to help you in the long run, just to, start your network from somewhere and being able to adjust and make it sustainable and make it very easy to scale up. And so the picture here is just showing an FTTH model, our fiber model, that just show you how you can be able to distribute fiber to different apartments or different areas using different technologies. So for you to get this kind of a very nice approach, you need to be able to understand what are the factors to, to consider, what are the things that already exist in between, what can you leverage on, and what can you avoid while thinking about deploying a network. So I think it is very important that you understand the concept of techno feasibility study before you can be able to deploy this kind of a network. So when we talk about techno feasibility study, I'll take you very fast through this. Then we'll be able to look at some of the tools that I've come up with that can be able to help you collect data, analyze that data, and then come up with a very good and informed network model and business model for both sustainability, scalability, and availability of the network. Techno-feasibility study is a continuous assessment of a particular area. For example, if you want to deploy a network in area 1, you need to get to understand what really does it need or will you require to deploy such kind of a network. And you don't only just think about the network as a technology. Remember, you are interfacing people, you are going to interface with culture, you are going to interface with the government and all the authorities. You're going to interface with people's needs and demands. So it is very important that you holistically look at all this and think about a technical feasibility study as a model that allows you to understand how people that you are targeting interface with the technology. So techno itself is kind of an implied word or a short note of technology or technical related aspects, and then feasibility comes from the word feasible. So in simple, we can ask ourselves, is it feasible enough to deploy this kind of technology in this particular area? So for you to get that answer, you should be able to, do a techno feasibility study. And please note, it is not a survey, it is a study. So study allows you to do something more continuous, and you can be able to change some things, you can be able to adjust some things because the dynamics will also change. For example, today we are talking about a youth, an economy where youth is leading. Tomorrow, there's another aspect that comes in. You need to revise. So it is a study that is continuous and constantly checking on the aspects of the network. So when we think about a techno feasibility study, I came up with something that we call 3Fs. So 3Fs approach allows you to think big in terms of what do you need to consider, what aspects. So it is very important for you to understand what are the factors. These are things that can impact our operations, such as environmental, they can be political, they can be economic related, they can be demographically related, they can just be even security and weather. So it is very important for you to understand what are the economic factors in this particular area. I think that alone will help you understand how do you package your services, how do you sell, and what is the demographic, how do people live here, what really matter for them. And then look at the security, both at the personal level, the personnel level, and also at the equipment level. so that you can be able to know what are the risks that might come up when I deploy this network or when I get into this space. It is also very important to know the political arena, the atmosphere of politics. Where is the problem? If there is a political tension in a particular area, for sure, it will be very difficult for you to get into that space and start deploying. And then you think about environmental, the things that you need to consider. Like, for example, if you have foliage, you have things to conserve. So look at it in a way that either your network is going to contribute to the positive part of it and also respond to the negative implications of these factors. And remember, most of these factors are not things that you can be able to change, but you need to find a formula to integrate yourself into it. Number two is forces. So these are things that we cannot change, but we can just adjust. For example, inflation. You cannot go to a space and say you want to control inflation. You want to control competition. You can only adjust to it. So these are things that force you to operate in a particular area, but you must adjust or find a way to mitigate. So for example, if the price of equipment have gone up to, let's say, 30%, you have no options, but you can only to use those devices. So how do you adjust yourself to meet those kind of forces that are presented to you? And then lastly, we have the faces. Faces include the users that you are going to interact with. These are the people that you want to connect. These are the people that will be your customers. They will be your clients. And then we have people who also have some authority to determine or to dictate whether you can be able to operate there or not. So do consider these faces. They can be local authorities like the government, the chiefs, and all that. They can be just community champions or gatekeepers. They can be social groups, entities, or agencies. So it is better you understand these kind of faces. Know who you are working with and know who to approach. So it is good to understand. These faces will help you know the kind and culture of these people, their economic practices, their belief system, and their operations, so that you don't just get into an area without understanding all this. You need to get an area with a clear map of what you are going to do and how your services are going to either improve on the existing practices or meet some of the challenges. Of course, it is not only internet access that we are providing. We are providing a platform that will enable people to leverage and find necessary opportunities online or digitally. Geographical aspects of the area. Can you be able to reach where you want to go? If, let's say, you want to erect a mast or a tower somewhere on the hill, are you able to find a road to that place? Are there things like electricity? What is the terrain? Is there any other thing that is existing that you can be able to share? For example, a tall building, you can be able to do on the roof towers. Are there even things like water tanks or telecommunication masts that do exist that can be used as high points for wireless or Wi-Fi distribution? So understanding all this will give you a clear picture of how you are going to engage the community, how you are going to engage the public or stakeholders to be able to deploy your network. There are areas where you will need to co-host, set up your own new infrastructure. So it is very important to have a dimension of all this and have a clear mindset when you are tackling geographical aspects of the area. And then look at the demographic aspects. Demographically, we want to look at things such as age groups, things around people, their culture, their size. What kind of a population? Are you going to deploy a multi-billion or a multi-million network infrastructure in an area where you can only use maybe portable network solutions or internet solutions? What are their settlement pattern? Is it linear? Is it concentrated, or is it dispersed? So you need to know all these aspects of demographic and also know the socio-cultural factors in terms of traditions and belief and socio-economic factors, because these are things that Actually, if you don't know them, I don't know what kind of service you're going to deploy. So I believe that our network is a platform, an opportunity that we are just giving or presenting to communities or users to tell them this is a platform that you can leverage on to improve on your services. If a mama mboga or that a small kiosk woman is selling some clothes or some shoes, you need to explain to them that on top of what you are selling, you can be able to sell to people who you don't see here. And this is the global community where people are very many and the purchase power is very high. And then once she understands all this, she'll be able to know this is how this platform or this kind of infrastructure is going to help me boost my revenue. So you don't force people to buy your internet service, but you make people come for you because they already seen that aspect of feasibility, why they need this. All right. Then there is the aspect of governance. So governance is very dynamic. You need to know internal governance, how you aligned, who are the team that you're working with. You need a finance, you need marketing, you need public relations guy, you need admin, you need someone like a director to guide few things. A finance guy will be able to help you appropriate your funds in the right way. Marketing will be able to talk to these people. They will know the language to speak. Internal governance is very good and very important to understand. But also we need to look at the external governance and administration system. Who do you want to visit first? Is it a local chief? Is it a member of the parliament? Is it a district officer? Who is responsible in that area that you need to talk to first? Maybe for you to get some, leeways or some offers or some acceptance or, letters of operation or personnel, people who can help you integrate or get into the community very fast. Governance is very important. Community leadership do exist. Every community, every set of group of people have their way of leadership. Outside what we know as the structured government, we have people coming together to form even youth groups. We have youth parliament. So these are the people that you really need to talk to. Religious people, they have their groups that they control, and indigenous groups. So these are set of people that you cannot assume in your techno feasibility study. I've done a number of techno feasibility study for different networks, and I've also been able to analyze all this data and put it in a way that can be helpful to you. We have a hub that will help you to conduct service surveys with automatic location GPS. So what it will do, immediately you launch that app, it will be able to detect and pick your current location, and then it will be able to store that in the database. So why we store that? So that you can be able to map automatically the sites that you've mapped on a Google map, and will be showing you different points that you have. And then you will be able to access tools and other materials that we have embedded. So these tools include some of the toolkits that are used to collect data, both offline and online. There are also reading materials and guidebooks that we have also included in it. And more so, we have also included parts of these videos or tutorials that we are doing today, I'm doing today in that particular app. You'll be also able to access different templates or reporting tools, and also case studies of different community networks and other internet service providers, reports and case studies that I've been able to do. So I've given a very comprehensive guide about how to read, how to deploy, what to consider, and how to go around it. And finally, there is an automatic site analysis. So once you finish doing a particular survey of a particular site, you'll be able to see a recommendation with how that site performs in terms of demographic, physical, governance, and the rest. And this will help you to design and come up with scalable network topology and sustainable business model. This is the tool. So you'll be able to do physical survey. So if you click that, you'll be able, the system will automatically save your current location based on your evaluation and what you see and what you hear, or because you also need to be there physically, so that you can mostly rely on the physical observation of the area. So first of all, you'll be entering the area that you want to survey. So then after that, you can be able to also demographic. So we can be able to know like what are demographically, what are we looking at? We need to look at the majority. Which group? Is it youth? Is it elderly? Is it mixed? And the reason why we do this is for us to understand what kind of services are we going to add as part of value add in our network. What is the settlement pattern? Is it nuclear? Is it sparse or isolated? That will give you a very clear model on how you are going to span your network, or to design your network topology. And what is the gender? Of course, by knowing gender, you'll be able to know what kind of applications that you can be able to run. And who is the dominant, what is the dominant culture, for example, in terms of religion? Are these people Christians? Are they Islamic? Is it a mixed culture? So understanding culture is very crucial, because this is what gives you the ideal picture of that community. If you don't know their culture, you might not really get it right. Also knowing the economic activities, which forms the largest or the biggest part of the area, whether they are businessmen, whether they are doing open air market, whether they have shops, whether they are farmers. It is very important for you to know, because if I get a farming community or a business community, I'll be able to know exactly what really matters for them, so that I can be able to curate content or create content that will survive and help them to improve on their services. We also need to know existing institutions like schools, whether they're private or community owned, because at times you might need these organizations or institutions to host some of your devices in the community. So in the governance aspect, you need to know whether that area is under high influence in terms of politics, who has a say, what is the perception in that. Also look at the ultimate decision maker, who calls shots in that community, because that is someone that you need to know. Remember, looking at the 3 Fs, we are now in the phases. So who is that person that you need to talk to? Who is that champion that will walk you through in the community? Do you even know their language? This is a very big thing. Because if I'm English speaking individual, I might really get it so hard to deploy a network in a French speaking community. So I'll really need to have someone from that community who will be able to, help me get into that community by, first of all, having a language of interaction. And then look at the land ownership, because you are going to erect mast, you are going to build physical infrastructure, you are going to maybe pass through someone's land and all that. So it is very important for you to know the type of land ownership, who owns what, and who has a say. So it is very important to know that part of information. And then lastly, we need to know the technology, which technology is being used, so that maybe you can save yourself from issues around interference. If it is you are using RF, building your own infrastructure, and already there is existing that you can be sharing. Which technology is being used? Is it FTTX? Is it fiber? Is it Wi-Fi? Is it mixed? Is it hybrid? What kind of topology is being used? What are some of the learnings or the challenges that they have? Also look at things around the business model. How do they charge their packages? So once you have all that, you can be able to proceed. So I've given this kind of a toolkit so that you can be able to learn about how to do a physical or terrain accessibility study, governance, administration, and leadership. It's a very rich content here that will guide you on every aspect on how to engage. And then once you are done, you can go to governance and also look at what is it. So things around political influence, governance and local administration, community leadership and champion, religious leaders and indigenous groups, land ownership, and also look at the demographic pattern. What are the possible age groups? I've explained how this the settle patterns will affect your network. Is it sparse? Is it distributed? Gender patterns is very key because we need to know how to engage each. Then we use the social cultural factors. You need to understand the social heritage and social practices. And then the social economic factors, what do they do? And going down, you can be able to look at technology. So technology will give you a clear view of what existing service level agreement or service level is existing. What are the market price versus the packages that do exist? Where do they meet, and why do you think that is the cross-cutting charges? If everyone is doing $15, then you should be able to know why. What technology is it hybrid? Is it point to point? Is it point to multi-point? Is it fiber only? So it is very important for you to understand all that into detail, and then you can be able to go on. So once you've done your surveys and you've collected a number of information, you can always come here and check what are the merits. How do they score? For example, we have physical scoring at 31.848%, demographic scoring at 15. So these are based on some metrics, some variables that already been discussed and have been tested. And generally, we will have a total score, this one going at 2.96. And in the status representation here, when it indicates green, that is very viable, meaning the site proves to be ready and can be deployed with a little effort. When it is viable, it's better. When it is moderate, we feel that this is something that, of course, it will be deployed, but it might need more resources to be put up. And poor sites, normally we grade them as very capital intensive, but of course, they will need more techniques and approaches. So this application give you different tools, different resources. Some of the tools we'll get here is license application framework for those who want to do a license application, especially in Kenya. Then we have Techno Feasibility study, survey report, survey toolkit, and then we have all these trainings, all these tutorials that we are doing can be accessed here. And again, we have a section where we'll be having, or we have several reports and case studies that we have done for different community networks in Kenya. Okay, so the first thing to do is to know the categories. So you can decide to divide your area into different categories based on the activities of different groups. So for example, we can say in your network, you'll be serving schools, you'll be connecting businesses, you'll be connecting NGOs and groups, you'll be connecting maybe public through hotspots, you'll be reaching out to health centers, you'll be connecting markets and local government plus households. So once you have that clear impression of what you want to or who you want to serve in a big picture, you can be able to tell, like, if I think about a school, who can be my target group? So you, in a school, probably you're thinking about a teacher, you're thinking about student, or let's say support staff. And these people, of course, they can be able to rely on internet in one way or the other. And then the other thing that we need to look at is the purchase power. If I say that I want to connect school, how likely are they willing to maybe to purchase this kind of a service? So that is very important for you to know how your model is going to look like, your business model. And then we need to underline and know some of the value proposition, things that will make these kind of groups to go for our services and sustain and remain as part of our community or our clans. So you need to think about, what do you need to support? What is your internet going to add on top of what they have? So things around supporting their learning, coming up with maybe content management systems, e-learning platforms, libraries, and record keeping platforms, digital security training. A lot can be done. So try to understand what is it that you want to put on top of your services or top of your network, so that it can make value. Once you have that category as our step one, you'll be able to now look at specific sites. For example, if it is a school, which school in particular? So for example, talk about, for example, I use here Kunja Primary School. It is a particular school, so we treat it as individual. So in the category site, it is a school, and we now need to know how many average users do we have there. In short, if we deploy a network in that particular school, how many people are going to use it or benefit from it? And then how is ready is it? Does it have ICT infrastructure? Does it have laptop? Does it have a computer lab? Do they even have phones? So those are things that we can be able to look at. And the other thing that you need to also know, whether they have smartphones, these internet-enabled devices, and then do make sure that you have the latitude and the longitude, that is the GPS location. You can provide an overview detail of how it is, where it is located, whether you have another landmark somewhere. So the reason why you need to have a landmark is for you to be able to direct someone to that particular site. The other thing is, what are some of the key activities that will propel them to buy and sustain your services? What do you think really mean good for them? Why should they buy why should they? So that question why is kind of you asking them, what would you want to do if I give you internet today? So they will tell you those areas of pain point that they feel. For example, you are connecting a home where there is a student who is maybe at the university or college level, they will tell you, I'd want to do more research. I'd want to, attend classes online. I'd want to, do research and learn from YouTube tutorials. But I don't have bundles. So you have seen where the need is. And then apart from that, based on your evaluation, you can also need to know, you need to know the value add. What am I going to bring on top of what the need has been identified? So a number of them can be there, but we have sampled things like digital literacy programs. Can you do training to teachers? Can you help them understand better how to use the internet? Can you do online privacy and safety trainings? Do you have things around digital marketing and promotion for women who are doing business? And think about children who you are now exposing to digital platforms. Do they have some safety skills? What about the internet governance? What happens when there is an internet shutdown? Local content creation. How do you promote that young man who has some talent in local content creation? How do you make it a value for him? How do you develop platforms and things that can support the management? So all that can be very useful as add-on, and also get to understand other things, like very critical things like power, because your systems or your computers or your network will never run without power. So this is part of the cost that can be implied in your planning. Then looking at the costing, so you'll pick a particular site. So for example, if I say I want to deal with Ogunja Primary School under category school, so you need to understand what can they pay. What are they willing to pay without them being strained? If it is a 1,000 Kenya shillings, how likely are they willing to renew this or pay this maybe monthly or weekly or whatever period? So you need to also put it here so that you can be able to know how to model your business plan, how to come up with a robust and responsive business plan to sustain this community. Otherwise, if we just drop the network and we say you'll pay 1,000 or 10,000, someone will pay once because maybe of an urgent need and then fail to renew on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis. So make them tell you, and then you reach a point where they see the need to renew. Finally, we have again the 3Fs. So 3Fs is just a big map that helps you to, see big things. So first of all, what are the factors you need to identify for me to connect this school? How is the access? How is the infrastructure? What exists and what does not exist? And then look at the forces. Who do I talk to? Is it the head teacher? Is it the board of management? Is it the district officer, education officer? Is it the the local area chief? Who do we talk to? And how is the structure aligned with us so that we have a very smooth and seamless integration in terms of services and community connectivity. Look at things around forces, who which things, or what are the things that we need to consider? How is the inflation in that area? How is the competition in that area? What are the things that we just need to adjust so that we meet the demand? These are very important to know who you are dealing with, which community, which language are they speaking, and how can you use the community or engage community to have your network or your infrastructure penetrate into the community with a lot of ease. How is there any issues around localization of the content, localization of the services? Is everything in English? Do they really understand English? So you need to understand that if it comes to community, you have to operate like them. You have to do what they do. You have to plug into their services or a system, their belief system. Otherwise, they might say, okay, we don't know what you want to do because it is not aligned to our activities. It is not aligned to our social cultural activity. So it is a good idea to get someone, if you're not part of that community, to get someone that will be able to help you operate in that kind of a society. And then finally, we need to have a mitigation plan. What if? It's a question that is very simple, but if you don't really get it right, you'll be able to be in a position where you cannot be able to operate. So always have an implied thought. What if these factors become so hard to meet? What if these phases become so hard to work with? What if these forces becomes too much on us, or too easy, or too... So try to understand the implication of these issues, of the 3Fs, so that at the end of it, you know how to mitigate, you know how to respond, and you have a clear action plan for all and each and every item. I'd want to stop there, and I really want to thank you for watching. My humble request is for you to like the video, you can comment, you can share, you can also subscribe.